I do not know about all of you, but I will consider myself as a collector because I do enjoy accumulating a lot of weapons in my arsenal. Don't believe me? Check it out. Yeah, it is quite a lot. How many times do you actually pay off in order to collect that much? But set aside the weapons you have. Because I got a lot of weapons, I could choose which weapon do I need to get into a mission. However, because of this, I also noticed a quite interesting one. Because there's a lot of weapon that actually can be stronger than another, in most scenario, we'll just either sell or just get rid of those what we call as the weak weapon. Most notably, the early game weapon, such as the Skana or Mark 1 Braton you usually have in the very beginning. But there are also a few weapons that, more specifically the early game weapon, actually strong enough to still last even in the steel puff content. And I can tell you, how come this weapon can actually design this strong, especially it is for the early game weapon. And one of them being the dual ether. I mean, come on, how come this early game weapon can be so strong? But because it is actually strong, we try to take a look at how strong this early game weapon can be. So without further ado, let's hop right into it. In case you might not know or may already forgot about Dual Ether, it's actually an MR8 weapon where its blueprint can actually acquire from market. The resources to build is actually quite cheap, so the moment when you buy it, you can immediately build it right away. Now based on the stat Dual Ether has, you can tell that it's actually quite the average part. Yeah, the attack speed and the range is quite average among all the other weapons did. But if you take a look at the other stats such as the crit, status, and damage, you can tell that it's actually possessed the quality for being a weapon that you usually need in the steel path or even the endurance mission. 20% of crit chance and 2.0 crit multiplier is not that bad, especially 28% of status chance. This also shows that Dual Ether actually capable of being a hybrid build weapon. And for the base damage here, yeah, 180 base damage is in the low, but what do you expect for a fast attack melee weapon have? Its main focus is actually got a high amount of slash value, being around 70% from the whole base damage. You could tell that this weapon actually quite capable for being a slash based weapon. This is why Dual Ether right now still capable of playing in the steel power contents thanks to all these that it actually possesses. In case that you are the beginner where you just got this weapon quite recently, then this build will be quite enough for those beginners who want to use this weapon. So based on the build here, it's quite very simple. All these mods can acquire quite easily because there's no such rare mods, including prime mod. So this kind of build is very simple, just slot in the damage, whatever you can be, and yes, actually this kind of build is actually quite sufficient enough. You can see that in the simulacrum, I have simulated this level 160 of heavy gunner, and yet I can take down this enemy quite easily. Not quite overpowered, but still take the job quite well. If you're quite curious about why this kind of build still managed to take all these enemies quite easily, you can check out one of my videos which tried to explain about the melee combo counter. Those have explained about how the melee combo counter works for a melee weapon. That's why it could affect your build very well. Of course, right now you're not a beginner, right? So if let's say you want to go with those endurance build, then yes, we're still going back with our trusty combo build, which is include the confusion overload, blood rush, whipping wood, attack speed, critical damage, and the faction mods because we need to double dip the slash DOS damage. As well as the last two slots, you can go with whatever you wanted to, and yeah. My build here is actually quite focused around trying to maintaining the combo as well as increase the slash value. And yes, until right now, this build actually quite strong enough to take down those enemies. Not try to lie to you, but I still think that this already quite strong enough, even without Riven. Yes, even this is an early game weapon that actually strong, the Riven disposition is actually reached up to the 5/5 maximum value. In other words, if you are so lucky enough to have a Riven, congrats, because the Riven value will be extremely high to push this weapon from strong to utterly broken. I don't have one, but yes, I still enjoy this weapon. And this is it. Early game weapons are those weapons that you really need for your early game playthrough, but when the time that you reach up to mid or late game, you realize that these weapons do not possess the requirement you need for those hard missions, thus you will decide to just get rid of them. It is quite sad that some new weapons never really make it up. That's why we have the Prime version, or either being the Vandal, Wrath, or can be. But very few weapons that just by themselves is already quite strong that they can still last for that long. Especially for Dual Ether, an MR8 weapon, which is quite considered as an early game weapon, still managed to hold up its position until this late game. I don't know how they designed this weapon, that this weapon is actually strong, especially you can acquire quite early game. Yeah, enjoy it. If this is your first time watching, why not leave a like and subscribe to my channel so that you won't miss out any newest contents from me. Why not leave your comments down below if you got any ideas or thoughts you want to share with all of us. And that's it from me, and as always, I will see you all next time. Bye bye!